Hey guys, this is Abby again. Welcome back to my channel. This is like a sort of a follow-up, or should I say part two of my first video, where I'll be touching in more about my motherhood journey. I drew up some questions that I feel people will ask or people will want to know about, just as a sort of guide. So how was pregnancy for me? So like I mentioned in my last video, I have two beautiful children. So my first pregnancy was very challenging in that, to me, like I said in my last video, I thought I see pregnant people everywhere, bouncing about, full of energy. So in my mind, I thought this is how it would be for all women. So little did I know that there's some women that find it more challenging than others. So my first 4 months was very challenging. I was sleeping a lot. I was sick, a lot. First 4 months, I couldn't do anything. Funny enough, I could still manage to go to work, but I'm sure everyone I one knew that I couldn't do anything. So it helped more because I was a marketing person, I was a salesperson. So we're not required to stay in the office anything after 10 a.m. So, and that's the time that the sickness really used to set in. So I had to get a driver to start with. So while driving up and down the sick, I was always in the car, rather, I was always sick and, but I just tried to manage and, just, I didn't want the pregnancy to affect. I didn't know that pregnancy could affect one's career as a woman. So first 4 months was very challenging. I was always crying. I was always begging God to please take this sickness away. So it felt like a sick. I never felt that kind of sickness before. I had malaria and other things, but this one, yeah, I knew it wasn't malaria. It didn't feel like malaria. I didn't felt like that in my whole life. So it was a different kind of sickness. It was more like there was no, I didn't have any strength. I just wanted to sleep. It was like a factory was churning, kept churning things in my stomach. It was like a factory was in my stomach, so to say. So even though I really didn't feel like eating anything, I've always felt the urge to always eat, because like I said, it was like a factory was inside my stomach, sort of like as soon as I put food inside my stomach, something just scrapes it away. So I didn't really want to eat, but I had to just eat because I just felt awkward. But after 4 months, I got a bit better. But then, like I said, excessive salivation set in. I was frustrated. I asked a lot of people, a lot of women, until I found out what helped me. So in my case, someone told me about bitter cola. So not chewing it, I tried to chew it, it didn't help. So I had to cut bitter cola into two medium sizes and then put one in this corner and the other one in the other corner of my mouth and literally have it in my mouth, throughout the day. I used to change it, once I get tired of the first set, I throw it away, put new sets until in the night when I'm about to sleep. It's only when I'm asleep, of course, I don't feel the urge to spit. As soon as I wake up, it starts. And that didn't go away until the second day I delivered my baby. So I went through that. I went through extreme backache. I went through hip pain. I could remember my first pregnancy. If I sit on the sofa for some minutes to get up was always a problem. So I went through that. I went through vomiting in the early morning, vomiting. I remember that I could not even wear anything that had a waistline. I don't know how to explain it. So I was more comfortable with wearing gowns throughout my pregnancy. Even the gown must not have tight waistline, Anything that touches my tummy, I'll feel extremely uncomfortable, like someone was suffocating me, and I felt like that throughout. So I couldn't really slay, during pregnancy. And then my career, like I said, it affected me. I couldn't really perform as a salesperson because how will you go from one company to the other feeling sick? As in, it was literally written all over my body that I was sick. But looking back, I don't know how I pulled through. Then I gave birth to my first child. The delivery, yeah. So the second child, the pregnancy was a bit okay, maybe because my body had already. I felt the same symptoms really, but I handled it more, or I handled it better, maybe because my body had already gone through it. So this is why I say that it's something women should start preparing for. As soon as you're thinking of getting married, or you want to have children, I think it's something you should start preparing for, asking questions, reading about, and all of that. So my second pregnancy was, even though I went through the same things, but I think I handled it a bit better because I had gone through it, and it was not exactly 2 years after the first one, so it wasn't foreign to my body. The childbirth, so should I say, I was opportuned to experience the two types of childbirth, natural birth and cesarean. So my first child was natural birth, and I was in the labor. I was in labor from like 5 a.m. till about 6 p.m. Yeah, I think I gave birth later around 6 p.m. So from that 5 a.m. till about 3 p.m., yes, I was in labor, but I could still bear it because you know how contraction is. It comes and goes, it comes and goes. So where they put me, the room I was in, even the doctor that was coming to check me at some point, I think at about 2, 3 p.m., was like, this woman is not serious with this labor thing, no. This one that she's still gisting. In fact, it met me eating rice around that time, and they were like, no, this woman is not serious. They were joking and making jest of me. So I think that was when he decided to induce me, because I think I wasn't making much progress as well. So it was when after I was induced, that I now knew the real meaning of labor. Oh my. So at that point I was taken to, I don't know what the rooms are called now. I know I was in one from like 5 a.m. till before I was induced. Then after I was induced, that I started screaming and shouting that I was obviously in pain and in labor. I was moved to another room. I met another woman there that had been there. I heard she had been there a day before, and she was literally screaming, and I heard she had been like that the day before. So I came in, I was, it was coming and going. So when he came, I would scream and shout. And then when I'm relieved, I'll not be the one pacifying the other woman. It's okay. God will do it. It is well. Because she was obviously more in pain than I was. And, after a while, they were even planning that they were going to go for cesarean. But somehow, God always comes through for us. She gave birth before they even did the cesarean session. But I gave birth before her, because I heard the cry of the baby after I had delivered my baby, and I was already, they had moved me to another room. So my second pregnancy was, I had issues throughout the pregnancy, apart from the normal issues of pregnancy. I had placenta previa. I don't know if anybody knows anything about that. So I was bleeding throughout the pregnancy and all of that. So at about 30, I think about 32 months, I had to be on bed rest in the hospital for a month. Oh, that was the most boring 1 month of my life. So I was in the hospital. I was both bored and both scared, because they are still telling me that they were just going to manage me for a month and they were going to bring out the baby. I didn't like the idea of operation. But looking back at it now, there's really nothing wrong with it, because I know some women who, when they have complication and they tell them they will have to do cesarean, they'll be praying, against it and all that. Looking back, I don't think there's anything wrong. If you have to do it, then it's another option. I believe it is God that gives the wisdom and the knowledge, to all these doctors and all of that. So I don't see anything wrong with it. But like I said, maybe I'll call it, I was opportune to go through the two. So for my second baby, it was a CS, and I was lucky enough, or I was privileged enough to choose the dates. They told me, okay, the doctor just came to the room one day and said, between this day and this day, the baby needs to come out, because I had a final episode of bleeding, even while on bed rest, and the doctor was like, no, this baby needs to come out now. So they gave me the date. So I chose, one of the days I was given to choose from was my nephew's birthday, and I just felt, it would be a good idea for my daughter to share her birthday with my nephew. So that's how that went. I was really scared going into the surgery, I'm not going to lie. But for some reason, my husband said the minute they came to call me that it was time for the operation, that he had never seen me display that kind of strength before. The way I just got up and I was like, in boldness and confidence, I was like, but me, in my mind, I was like, God, in your hands, I placed this whole procedure. So I went there. So so they were supposed to, I don't know what's called now, all those terminologies. I was supposed to stay awake, for the surgery. So epidural, I think. Yeah. But for some reason, that didn't work. So I was given the injection on my, I think on my back, on my spinal cord. And then I literally felt the incision. The doctors couldn't, they didn't even believe it. So the first attempt at the incision, I said, I can feel that. I felt that. They were like, no, madam, what are you saying? You are just scared. You just fear. The second one, I was like, I can feel it. I can feel it. So it was, they saw the way I was screaming and shouting. They now understood that no, this woman is not just scared. So they had to put me to sleep at the end of the day. So I went through, I think when they give you a epidural, there will be pain. I think the pain is much more after delivery. Because I went through that and I also went through, putting me to sleep and waking up. So the next, after the delivery of the baby, as I was coming around, it was my back, doctor this, my back. I know I remember the name of the doctor, but I just don't want to go. Oh, my back is killing me. My back. That's how I came around. As in, that's what I was saying. And they were like, it's okay, it's okay. I'm going to give you some pain relieving, injection and all of that. And they did, but it didn't help me. I shared a room with another woman this time also. And she was up and about by the second morning. Not up and about, but she could move, she was trying to move. I couldn't try. First of all, because of the epidural that I had taken, which didn't work, I had to stay still for 24 hours on one spot. I think you're not supposed to move after that injection. So I went through that, just staying still. By the following morning, I saw this woman already, holding on to the bed and trying to move. I couldn't I was in severe pain.
I am in severe pain.
I couldn't do that. And my family, my relative, my friend, that I kept, everyone that came, I kept telling them, I'm in pain. But see my roommate, I'm in pain. Because they had already given me pain, something to relieve the pain, but it was obviously not working. So when the doctors came around, they had to change. I think they had to give me something more effective, something stronger. And I think it was the second day, yeah, I started feeling, a bit better and all of that. So surgery, CS, natural birth, the pain is before, right? CS, the pain is after delivery. And I think pain for CS is longer. For me, I think I didn't get back to how I was until about a month or 6 weeks. I was in pain even after I went home. I had to, when I'm walking at home, I had to hold my tummy, because if I don't hold my tummy, it was as if everything in my stomach, my womb wanted to fall to the ground. So I remember I had to literally hold my tummy like this and bend this way when I'm walking for like 6 weeks. It was after the 6 week I think I still felt walking straight and feeling better. So I would say the pain for the two types of childbirth is kind of different. For natural birth, I think is before, just, and some people are so blessed that I hear some story that some people just go into labor immediately, a few minutes after their baby is out. Mine wasn't like that. And even the nurse, I remember the nurse saying that I wasn't cooperating, while pushing the baby, so I had to be caught. So I went through that pain. Other than that, I don't think I will have gone through an after pain for natural birth, but because I was caught, that pain too was quite severe, and I got infected. I had to go back to do it. Oh, I don't know what is more painful in childbirth itself and the fact that I was infected. I had to go back, and this time around, the doctor for some reason said they couldn't deaden that area, so he had to, while the way that place was and I was in pain and it was sore, he had to remove the old incision that was done and had to put a new one. I was screaming the whole hospital down that day. So I went through that pain, and afterwards, before the cut got healed, I was in severe pain for I think for about 2 weeks. So these are the different, then for CS, of course, I told you 6 weeks. So these are the different pain. So that's why I said, motherhood, hey, is hard work. I know they have different days. People already say there are too many days that they celebrate women or maybe mothers. I think is more than worth it. And I know some people even have it more difficult, because I remember my first child, one of the days I went for antenatal, I met someone that I knew before at the hospital, and we're exchanging pleasantries, and I was pleasantries, And I noticed almost all the staff walking around were greeting her, hailing her. So I had to ask her that, how come you know almost everybody in this hospital? She said she has been there 7 months on bed rest. So they had to manage her pregnancy for 7 months. She was there. So that's how come she knew everybody. I'm saying mine was difficult. So I now knowing that some people even have it more difficult. And then the mother now finally puts into birth. So the whole pregnancy to delivery is a miracle on its own. Is hard work, is challenging, is painful, is so it's a lot. So that aside, and this before you even give birth. So life after delivery. So after I delivered, so I'll talk about my first and second baby, like I said. So after I delivered my baby, of course, the usual waking up to feed the baby in the night. You won't sleep for, I think, a month. I can't quite remember when the baby now started getting used to sleeping in the night and all of that. Just before I gave birth to my child, the first one, I had made mouth. No, my baby will be in the cot like Oyinbo people. He will sleep in the cot. My baby will not be beside me on the bed. Blah blah blah. I want to train my child to be independent and all of that. I couldn't achieve that because I was in pain getting up, and the baby could cry like, I can't remember now, maybe up to 10 times throughout the night. So getting up, holding my tummy, all the pain, no, I couldn't do that. So that whole plan was in the mud. So I had to bring my baby close to me on the bed because it was more convenient for me and all of that because I was in pain, like I said. I kind of had support from my mom, from my mother-in-law, from my sister-in-law, so I handled after birth a bit better. It was a bit better for me because I had support system around me. That the motherhood affect my career. Like I said, when I was pregnant, at that time, at the period of my life, I was a salesperson. So for the two pregnancies, it really affected my career. I couldn't do much. I wasn't really productive. And like I told you, my second child, I got pregnant not quite 2 years after the first one. So you can imagine, back to back. So that didn't go well at all. My career, my job was affected. And then even after they started growing, baby stage, toddler stage, I wished I could, change jobs, like some of my colleagues were moving on in their career life, changing jobs. But I most of the jobs, I had to be very selective because now, I was a mother. I needed to quickly get home to be with my children because I used to drop my babies with my mom. And my mom she was, at that time, she's now 84, so you can imagine, I'm just talking about just 12, 14 years ago. So she was already in her 70s, so she really, really tried for me. So it's not as if she was a young grandma. So but she helped a lot, so I used to drop my baby with her. So and my mind was always with them, even at work. So I couldn't really concentrate at work. I had to kind of stay put at that job because I felt that job still gave me time, even though it was challenging. I felt it gave me time, as a salesperson. So I couldn't make the bold step move that some of my colleagues were making, changing to another job, because once I see a vacancy, once I read about it and I ask questions about it, I had to come back after 5 p.m. to sign out. And then most of these jobs were on the island with the traffic. That meant I'll be getting home 10 p.m., 11 p.m. because for those people that work on the island with Third Mainland Bridge and all that, Nigerians or Lagosians will know what I'm talking about. So I had to kind of stay put to my job, even though I desired to really move. But because I felt this job was a bit flexible, with my what the stage I was now with motherhood. So I couldn't really take those bold steps I could have made really. And that meant, of course, my salary too was not really increasing so much. So that's one way that I feel that it affected my career. So thoughts on motherhood as a whole. So like I said, I don't want anyone to get me wrong. The joy knows no bound. The joy of motherhood is a blessing. It's beautiful. Is the most sacrificial thing anyone could ever give. Bringing a baby, a child, another life into this world and caring and nurturing them. So Yeah, it's one of the most beautiful things to experience in life, if not the most beautiful thing, really. So, yeah, so it's joyful, and you can't quantify the joy and all of that. However, it can be extremely challenging and overwhelming if you don't have support system, and if it really affects your health and all of that. It can be, I mean, it's by the grace of God that we get pregnant and give to birth safely. We have women that have lost their life during that process, really. So it's a sacrifice. It's huge. So is like I said, it can be overwhelming. It's hard work. A lot go into it, really, from the pregnancy stage to delivery, and then your life never remains the same. Like I said in my first video, your life never remains the same. From the point you get pregnant, is literally a life of sacrifice, as in you die for the sake of your baby. Not literal death. Now you put your needs, your wants, everything about your life under for this new life that is growing inside of you. Is a sacrifice. Is huge. So that's why I feel that it's something that should be planned for. Most people, most women, we plan for almost every other thing in our life. We go to preschool, so that's like prepping us for primary school. We prepare for exams. We when we are going out, we prepare our body, we look nice. But I think most of us, just especially in Africa, we just feel it's automatic. You marry, and then you get pregnant. You see people pregnant. So no, it's not the same. It's not the same. So I think if we prepare well, once you start knowing within you as a woman that you want to be a mother, I think you should start, first of all, praying about it, handling the whole journey to God, praying to God about what you want and what you don't want, declaring on yourself and all of that, asking for extra grace, prepping your body, so to say also, and then reading, getting materials to read about it, so that in case you are one of those that will find it really challenging, then of course you are prepared. And it's all well and good if you are one of those that are still full of energy, because I hear some women they're even more energetic when they are pregnant than before they get pregnant. All well and good. And it's not just the pregnancy, the child, nurturing the child, after childbirth, and even toddler stage, teenage stage. Even though my children, one is a teenager now, one is in her preteens, I'm still sacrificing a lot. I still cannot go off. How men can literally just change their career sometimes, go out weekends. They have this, I think men just have this confidence that my children are with their mom, but we women know you can't just get up one day and off and say this weekend I'm off. You have to literally plan for either you are going to take your children to stay with someone, or someone is going to fall. Those of us that don't have house help, I tried it. I tried my hands at it, but I think that's story for another day. So at very early, I had to give up on getting nannies. So it was really challenging for me. My social life was affected because I couldn't. It's not everywhere you can take your children to. So if I had to go somewhere and I couldn't take my child to, so most time I sacrifice going. I would rather just stay with my kids, or I plan well in advance of maybe either taking my kids to my mom. At some point, my sister-in-law was staying with us, so sometimes I'll just ask her to please stay with the kids. But all in all, it affected my social life. You can't just get up, that you want to visit someone or you want to go to some parties again. That part of you, I don't know. I hear stories of some mothers that live like that. But even if they do, I don't think any woman can remain the same after giving birth. And so that's my advice, really. And I'm using this opportunity to pray for all mothers that God should, give us a good reward, that we should all eat the fruit of our labor over our children. Um, it, it's to be another great joy if, having gone through all this hard work, and then your children grow up and they turn out well. It's a thing of joy, really. So I pray that God reward all labor, all mothers labor on their children. And I pray that those who want to be mothers and are waiting, that God will hear them and bless them soon. In Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you guys for watching. Look out for more exciting, educational, and entertaining videos from this channel. Bye.